So I spent 4 months doing that book, the first book. It came out in 1987. I wasn't really sure how to do a comic myself. I had done some Marvel books, but I hadn't written my own comic. And that's one of my favorite panels of the DeSoto racing through the city streets for the first time. At LucasArts, the characters kind of became unofficial mascots of the company because people knew about the comic, and we would use sample animations of them for the programmers to train with, and that's what led to the first game being made. People in the company knew the characters so well that when it came time to do a new game on a really rapid schedule, it was proposed as one of the properties to do. There's probably a different audience for the adventure game at that time than there was for comics, and so even at the conventions I meet a lot of people who first found the characters through the game and then discovered the comic after that.
Okay, little buddy. On 3. Ready? 1, 1.5. 3! All right, Sonny, consider yourself pinched.
Who are these guys?
So Dan Smith was an editor at Nelvana for a long time, story editor, and he was always a champion for wanting to see this thing made into a TV show. And we managed to get together, and we actually worked together developing a story Bible for it, and we pitched it together in LA to Fox Kids, and he got these characters a lot. He understood them and understood like what the differences are between comics and TV to, kind of help, make the choices of what, there's certain things you're not going to do on TV, and so you do something else instead. And, if you're not going to shoot guns at each other, maybe, you maintain some of the weirdness of the characters instead, which is what I made. My mandate was, keeping the weird quotient up to snuff. So if it couldn't be so morally questionable, maybe they're, it's just the kind of randomness of it and the strangeness of the worlds and the stories that we explore.
Don't anybody move. This is a stick-up. All we want is the dough. And maybe one of those Elvis-shaped decanters. We want to drink from the neck hole of the king.
It's an interspecies holdup.
I know your voice. You're that Henderson kid.
Start scooping the cash into a plain brown bag, old man.
Giant rat guys. Weird. Interesting.
And somehow very appropriate. Shall we slap the sleeper on him and make him cry uncle?
Can't think of a reason not to.
I lived in an old barn at the time, and I would work through the fax machine, and I would get bundles of FedEx packages every day. It's like, here's 60 more pages of characters and turnarounds and things like that. And I'd be on the phone with Dan Smith for hours at a time. We just sift through all the scripts, and we'd write jokes into the scripts and change things around. And there were a few scripts I wrote myself, and just kind of keeping in touch. And I'd go up there for casting sessions from time to time, and working with the production team. They'd always go out to pool, go play pool across the street at lunch. So it was fun to go to Toronto and visit with those guys and actually, work directly with them for little stretches. But the rest of the time I was in my little barn, on the phone and working through the fax machine.
Yeah, you got that right. And how? It was the stern guiding voice of the commissioner with just the right kind of hair-raising case we can wrap our overactive adrenal glands around.
Are you talking dirty?
He says there's bad trouble on the moon, Max. Let's pack up and blow this joint.
I think for hardcore comics fans, it was a kind of a tough shift because they wanted everything that they had in the comics. And what's interesting is sometimes those guys would say, wow, it's too bad you had to water down the comic for the show, but then at the same time they say, well, I can't believe they let you say that, because there'd be certain jokes that people, wow, I can't believe that joke was on TV, and that always cracked me up because I thought it was a contradiction, because at the same time you're saying it's watered down, it's still got stuff in it that's making your eyebrows go up. So that was gratifying actually to hear, and I think we try to be sensitive to what you show. You're not going to have violence, so you replace it with goofiness instead. And I think the spirit of the characters is definitely there. I think it was right on, as far as their personalities.
I love having a sub-basement of solitude with our very own genius girl to think up wildly improbable stuff for us. Like this exploding Max decoy with realistic action banner.
Death from above! Death from above!
It's what I've always wanted.
Thanks, geek!
I was thinking it would be fun to have a danger room a danger room or some kind of a lab or a place where they could have, exotic things made for them. And I had a boy character called he was called the Geek. And at some point, Fox was asking if we could make room for a girl somewhere on the show. And their first request was, could we make Max a girl? And me and Dan kind of looked at each other, and I was thinking, I knew this was going to get strange, but I didn't know it would get strange so soon. And Dan pretty much said, they said, well, you won't have to ever refer to the character as a girl. And Dan was saying, well, you can't really never refer to the gender of somebody. You have to do it at some point. So the choice was made to turn the Geek into a girl, and it's just a really smart brainiac character that can, put machine guns in their headlights and things like that. And so we tried to, use her sporadically.
Hello there, young lady. Is your mommy home?
This isn't my home, it's my lab. And my mommy didn't call you. I did.
Well, aren't we all grown up? You must be Darla Guggenheek.
Please. My friends call me the Geek.